All.com. We sell really nice clothes.
A rural New York town rallying around a man charged with murder after he took justice into his own hands. David Carlson opening fire after an accused child rapist living next to his property eluded arrest not once, but twice. The name of that man is Norris Acosta Sanchez. He lives in a shack doing odd jobs for money, including work at the Carlson's home. When he confided in David that he was a wanted man, Carlson called police, but Sanchez ran. And he was later found back at this cabin or this shack. And that's where police say Carlson killed him with a shotgun blast. Neighbors defending Carlson, saying he's no vigilante and a solid member of the community. And his family is absolutely lovely since day one. Another explained it's very rural here and you have to protect yourself. So was this protection or vigilante justice? Dan Schorr is a former prosecutor. Brian Silber is a criminal defense attorney. Quick note before we get into this, gentlemen. This town, this area does not have 24-hour police protection. It does not have a 24-hour response. So I just want to present that as maybe part of this. Dan, what do you think? Is this vigilante justice?
There's a lot of facts that we don't know yet. Acosta Sanchez was 35 and he was indicted for rape for having sex with a girl under the age of 15. And the murder defendant here did everything he could, it seemed. He notified the police, he notified neighbors. He's on a security camera from a neighbor going with the deceased Acosta Sanchez to try to go to another person's home and call the police. The question is, at the time of the shooting, was there a reasonable belief of an imminent threat of harm from Acosta Sanchez that would justify his use of deadly force? He's using a self-defense claim, and the grand jury is considering that right now. There
is a witness to the alleged murder, Brian, and this witness says, and this is a quote, they're not commenting other than this to the press. The quote is, "I didn't see a murder happen. That's as far as I'm going to go."
Listen, you know, it's not uncommon for police to get these things completely wrong. It happens every single day. They paint, you know, a picture about a case that is just simply not supported by the evidence. And let's talk about the evidence in this case. This guy, Carlson, did not track down Acosta Sanchez. He's not a bounty hunter. He's not even a good Samaritan who interjected during the commission of a felony. He's a guy that lived next to this guy who's a fugitive, who is an admitted fugitive. And what did this fugitive do when he was reported to the police? He jumped in a river and tried to swim away. It wasn't until the next day when he came back that this incident occurred. So I don't think anything in this case supports a charge of murder.
Going back to what actually happened at the quote-unquote murder, Dan, you know, you get an idea of what the community was feeling. Apparently there's a lot of children in this community. One of the women in the community say we were really frightened staying there that night because the guy's on the loose. The police lost him, and there's some conflicting reports that maybe police had lost him up to two times. They've been trying to track this guy down, and they couldn't find him. So how does that figure into the case as well?
Well, Jenny, you referred to earlier how there wasn't 24-hour police protection here, and that's common in many places in New York where the state police will cover certain areas where there's not enough population to pay for and sustain a 24-hour police department. Here, we have to look at the specific facts. There were 4 gunshots reportedly. 2 struck Acosta Sanchez and killed him. Where were these gunshot wounds? How close in proximity was Carlson when he fired those his shotgun, and where were the injuries? What was the trajectory, and what did other people hear? These are facts that the grand jury has to consider.
Some really important details, Brian. Just a quick final thought from you. Could the police department in any way be liable for this situation because this man had eluded arrest and because they're not on 24/7?
Well, look, you know, you can't expect the police to be everywhere simultaneously. And the reality is, we have money problems in this country. Surprise. You know, we don't have resources to have law enforcement like we need them. But this is where the liability will be. If the only eyewitness says he didn't see a murder, this might be a case of false arrest, and that's where they may be liable.
It would be interesting to see if that indeed happens. Dan and Brian, great to have you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, the shutdown is over, but the Tea Party might soon feel some heat over its tactics during the budget battle. The Wall Street Journal